as this is, I've got this to do, so I've got something to do. But it's like 45 minutes or so. I still just couldn't get it working, and so this is where we are now. There is a dirt stage I've done before, though, in a few cars. Not the automation ones, though. So I thought this would be a enjoyable enough experience to see how some of the randomised vehicles actually do along here. Now, most of them I have tuned mainly for the track, but there is one that I think is going to be pretty good off-road. That's the Maxwell Wagon, if I can find it. There's the Not Stang Rally Raid. That wasn't on the stream, but I think that could still be pretty amusing, just because it drives so badly, but it's actually on off-road tyres. So maybe it would still be kind of quick under these circumstances. I mean, as you'll see, I've taken a bunch of these vehicles up here. Not this one. It shows up, but I made this since I, kind of stopped driving these cars on this rally stage for a while, so... Hi, Revo. I wanted to do my winter car. It failed. So I'm doing this now. I mean, anyway. Yeah, the day was quite good. Until my winter car just suddenly decided it wasn't working. And then the avatars didn't want to show up and everything. But it's sorted now. I mean, that was the only trouble I've had. This is quite loud. I think it's lowered enough on OBS so it shouldn't be obnoxious. But anyway, the Maxwell Wagon. This I'm using this here, as a first car because I think it should be pretty good off-road. Don't know what kind of gearbox it's got. I honestly can't remember. So, so it's an auto, I think. This thing really is loud. Wait, I've done a dumb mistake. I want to give this car a chance and I put it on rear-wheel drive. Yeah. But my winter car just doesn't want to load. I did want to play that game, honestly. But it's got this weird issue on this PC and it just doesn't want to work. And his ear is sticking through the side of the vehicle. I did not do that very well. But this should be fun anyway. Should be a fun idea. So I think this is either... Oh, there is a manual mode. I'm going to be using paddle shift anyway because it's convenient. Oh, this thing is overheating real bad. I think it's getting better now. I think it was just off the line. This has leaf springs front and live axle on the back, and it's got a 4x4 setup. So if anything's going to be good off-road, oh dear, kind of bouncy. Somehow I'm keeping it under control. Yeah, I think my summer car was set in 1995 and my winter car in 1999. Yeah, it's set in 1999, so almost 2000s, but not quite. Oh dear, this is it's going okay. It seems very bouncy on the rear of this car off-road, but it's not too bad to drive. I mean, my summer car, that launcher loads every time. I don't know why my winter car has issues, and I couldn't seem to find anything on people having issues with the launcher, so no idea what's going on with my system. I mean, as you'll see, it's running Beam just fine. Oh, that was a big dip. It's running Beam just fine. This car, I think, as I say, it's a good starting point, though, because it's not impossible to drive by any means off-road. I don't know which one of these cars is going to be the fastest or even the slowest. I mean, I've got a whole number of cars I have created. I do want to get them on a server eventually because I think that could be fun. Just give people random cars and they're either lucky or they are horrifically unlucky. Oh dear. Look, I think I'll have to restart this now because I messed up that corner so bad. I'm not actually getting out of that. Okay. This is like one way. There's not a lap system or anything. So that's one advantage I have. It's yeah, it's still in the 90s. Honestly, I don't know a whole lot about Finland in the 90s, so that's something about my winter car, my summer car. It's probably as realistic as I'm gonna know. Oh, did I? The coolant is apparently overheating. Maybe I'll have to shift up, see if that cools it down a little. And it does. I mean, I have actually got CDs from the year, would you believe it, from about late 90s, 97 to 99-ish. I actually have CDs from that time period. CDs were around since the 80s, honestly. And they are, I think they're still usable. I mean, my car is a CD player. I had to check that when I bought it. Because I do like my CDs. Honestly, I don't think the world was that different in the late 90s to how it is now. There's certain things that were definitely different, but I don't think it's as different as perhaps the 80s to the 2000s, for example. I somehow made that corner. I just hope this thing doesn't overheat. I don't remember it being this bad on the track. Yeah, the were trends, I think that's actually to do with the Superstore, which feels more like the 70s though, honestly, or maybe the 80s when the supermarkets were taking over. I think that's actually more that era than the 90s. This car is not happy, but it is going at a decent rate of speed. I mean, I was around in the 90s, so I'm kind of old, but... Yeah, honestly, I don't know much about fashion, so I'm not really of an era. I just don't know a whole lot about it. Mainly it's a character design. I just design it to reflect the character's personality. Ooh, we've beaten an automatic E30. Yeah, I was around in like the mid-90s. Don't want to say too much about my age, but yeah, I'm older than most of my audience. So, Maxwell wagon. It beat a Cadillac hearse from the 80s. This is not quick, but it's still a lot quicker than the other random stuff I've taken here. It's, yeah, it's beaten by V8s and the Claria and stuff. We will have more randomised vehicles here, though. So I think the Maxwell wagon has started us off decently. See what other car we could go to from here. Because, as I say, there's a lot of these. I think the world's fastest watermelon. It's rear-wheel drive, mid-engine, but it's not on full-out race tyres. It should be a decent car to move to. So, just wait for this to load in. I mean, you can change the avatar. There are a few different ones. There's the Vocaloid pack for stream avatars. That's got a few in. I think I want to change it to Gumi, actually. Because green hair. I feel sure I did that before, but it didn't, like, remember it. Random world trends, yeah. I mean, it does look interesting looking back on it, though. I think the Rover 75 was 1999, and it's crazy because it doesn't feel like that long ago when the Rover 75 was a new car. And I think that was introduced back in 99. So I think... Okay, this has some kind of manual. Oh, it really does take off. Why are these cars so loud? I will have to go to things on Racing Slicks and see someday if they're actually good. This rides half decently. I was not expecting it to. I'm making a quick counter-steer movements. This car is too good off the dirt. It shouldn't be. Has it changed to Gumi? I should be looking. Yes, it has. I'm not using all the speed. At least this isn't overheating. This just seemed like something I should do, though, because I've tested these vehicles on the track. I've not tested them off the track. Could probably go into third at some moment, or maybe not. I mean, it carries good speed in second here. I'm not sure I could gain much speed by going out of second. I'm not going like full power. I think this has about 500 horse. I'm surprised it's putting it down so well off the track. Bit of a jump there. This does, from what I remember, I think have double wishbone rear suspension and McPherson struts on the front. So it is 4-corner independent suspension. This is not bad. Although it is on cross-ply tyres with steel wheels. It has its compromises, as natural for a real car. Might have a V10 actually as well. It is powerful, that's for sure. Oh dear. My wheel was not the way I thought it was. I'm keeping this in second more than I thought, but it just makes good power in second for the speed I'm going at. And I'm not really going to go faster, because then there's getting it slowed and round corners and bumps and all that. Okay, can we turn it round? No. I'll give this another try, because I completely messed up there. Yeah, I mean, Rover isn't around. That's why I made like the 2005 75 kind of car, because I was thinking, what could Rover do that if they had survived? I might actually take this along as well. It's not a real car, but I thought of it, if I ever do a server, which I probably will with just them, I'm going to throw the Rover in as a wild card. Because it's just such a random vehicle. And it doesn't excel at everything, but it's actually very good all round, kind of, at the same time. Oh dear. I mean, Rovers did have issues with the K-Series engine, which, it could have been a brilliant engine, but then there was a head gaskets and everything that just didn't help. Yeah, I mean, believe me though, it's like, some English cars are actually very reliable, but it's the same as, I think, because of how a lot of them are, they get this reputation. It's like my C5. I wouldn't say it has the best reputation, because people buy the V6. The V6 is not very good, and they don't respect it as the config I've got, which is the 4-cylinder diesel, which is actually a very good car, reliability-wise. But everyone just hears about the V6, which is not a good engine for reliability at all. And they assume probably all of them are like that. I know there's the London taxis, I think, from the late 90s, early 2000s. They've done hundreds of thousands of miles reliably. So if you ever need evidence that the English can make reliable cars, I mean, that's probably the perfect one. But then there's also other things. It's like, what was I saying? The German cars as well, I think a lot of them are unreliable because they know people can afford to just buy expensive parts to keep them running. And it's something to make money off, really. Like, if they can sell so many expensive parts for those cars because people are willing to pay for it, then why bother making the car super reliable? It would actually just be less profitable for them. And then that's the thing, it's like, that's why cheaper cars are pretty reliable as well, because the people buying those cars probably can't afford to throw loads of money at parts anyway. So they're not going to give them companies loads of money regardless. That seemed a little unfair. Well, that was a way to finish. That could have been very quick, but I think it would have been destroyed. 226. It was, I think it was slower. That was like 212, if I remember correctly, the Maxwell wagon. Somewhere around here. There it is. Yeah, the Maxwell wagon was quicker, even without that thing going wrong at the end, which I didn't expect. The Maxwell wagon has been a lot quicker than this, which is not something I expected at all. I thought this was going to be a little difficult to control, but faster. It was actually the inverse. The Rover, I was saying. Yeah, the random Rover 75, it is kind of unfinished, but the suspension and engine are pretty finished. Yeah, I mean, that is true though. The older German cars were extremely reliable. From what I've seen, like E30 BMWs and the Audi 80, do they call it? I think was pretty good. And there was also the Mercedes 124, W124. Who could forget that? Like, they're supposed to be legendary for reliability, as well as a few of the other older Mercedes. The W124 is actually pretty much in my winter car. It's not an exact W124, but you can tell it's clearly supposed to resemble that. And I mean, you know, that's a car I quite like. That was also when German cars looked really quite expensive compared to what else there was. I don't think the newer ones actually look that expensive. They just look a lot like modern cars. Most modern cars look about the same, I find, for how expensive they look. Maybe they just made the cheaper cars look expensive. And then so it made the expensive cars look cheap. I don't know. This is my Rover I have built, like a 2005 75 kind of concept thing. It has got a turbocharged version of the KV6, one of the better engines available. I could probably turn this off. Turn the drive mode off. It'll probably it'll probably spin the front wheels a little more, but it will put power down better. Yeah, I mean, I think it did. I think that a lot of those Mercedes were exported to Africa and places, and they did keep going. I think they like Toyotas as well, which makes sense. The older Toyotas from the 90s are known to be very reliable, same as the Mercedes. And I think that the Europeans, I mean, I know it'll be a controversial decision, but I think the 2-litre turbo diesels pretty much got to the stage of being a fine art in the early 2010s. Like, whichever one you get from whichever manufacturer, they're all pretty good engines. It's like, I'm not going to defend the higher end engines, but the, yeah, this car has that bit of an issue with putting down the power on up hills. It doesn't know what gear it wants to be in. Come on. A small bump. Rover can take it. I did try and make this look like it's in British Racing Green as well, naturally. Come on, it's supposed to have like 220 horsepower. Believe me, you hear the Rover KV6 though with a modified exhaust. They sound amazing. It's like, especially when you can get one in a Rover 75, it does not look like it would sound like a touring car at all, but it does. Come on, Rover. I somehow don't think this is going to be as quick as a lot of the wheel cars, but as I say, it's like a decently tuned overall vehicle, but it's not the quickest, so it would be very fun to throw in as a random selection, as just a random wild card. Like, you know, if you get this car, it's kind of something you wouldn't expect to show up. Oh yeah, the 80s Corolla, that was, I think that was what they had in Initial D, but that was like a special edition, or rear-wheel drive one. I mean, you don't see them here. I think it's because of corrosion you don't see a lot of older vehicles. In a warmer climate, the corrosion isn't near as much of an issue. But here, people can afford a lot of expensive cars, and then there's corrosion, and I think people just don't bother with a lot of the older stuff unless it's a really special model. And predictably, the Rover 75 did it in a very comfortable but very slow way. Apparently it's similar to the Plymouth Fury, but I think the pedals weren't set up correctly, so that's not really a fair comparison. The Rover did well though, with its turbocharged V6. For what it is, granted, so far, as I predicted, the Maxwell Wagon, being like an SUV type thing, that did very well. The Maxwell Wagon, I don't know, it'll probably be mostly reliable, but the engine would blow up because it's a 400 horsepower 2-litre engine, so as you can predict, they're not that great at being reliable at that power level. So we have the unstoppable bus. I realised something about that though. It's kind of controllable if you lock the front diff and leave the rear open. Mystery party wagon we've got. You know what? This one. This is an insane vehicle with like 800 horsepower. This will be fun. So this car probably won't be reliable. I mean, the one thing I noticed also about the wheel cars, more so than reliability, it tends to put them on nitromethane and they make about 5 miles per gallon. So, you know, you won't be able to afford fuel for these cars, even if they are going to break down. You'll probably run out of fuel money before they break down. That's our cunning scheme to make it look reliable. Gaz tried to modernise the Volga. Wow, this is loud. I think I'm going to have to quieten it because this car is just so loud. Sounds good, but it's so dramatically loud. Yep, I think I can hear myself through that. Ah, yeah, so they tried to modernise it in the 80s. Only built hundreds. I mean, I do remember actually Rover also tried to modernise their stuff in the 2000s. Like, if you look at the 2004 to 5-ish Rovers, they did try and modernise the front end, but they were ultimately older cars. The company was just running out of money, so they were doing whatever they could to try and make a nice looking car. 3, 2, 1. I think this is like an older style auto. This is, it's still quick, but I think it's a 5-speed standard auto transmission. I believe it is all-wheel drive, which will help. This is not as bad as I thought it would be. I'll say that much. Given the thing doesn't have a whole lot of grip. This actually handles pretty good. Probably the rear-engined layout. Come on, accelerate. When you get on the power, this has incredible speed, but it's not the most stable at those speeds. I think it does have front and rear downforce, if I'm not incorrect. It has at least rear downforce. I mean, this thing does feel like it goes. It may be the quickest. I feel like I've got ABS. It did help there. Oh dear, oh dear. Don't want to slide, don't want to slide. Oh, almost hit the mountain there, but I somehow didn't. How this car hasn't become a flaming wreck yet on the side of a mountain, I don't know. But I'm kind of happy it hasn't. The suspension is actually the same as, I think, the world's fastest watermelon. It is McPherson strut front, double wishbone rear. Decent setup all in all. Slow for this corner. There we go. We can slow this down here. It does have decent turning, I'll give it that much. We can jump that. I will read that in a moment, but I've got to try and keep this thing under control. Yeah, I'm moving the wheel all over the place to try and keep this in a straight line. There's the dirt. It's bounced, but it's okay. I think this is fairly heavy. I don't know. I think it might be like 1,700 kilos or something. I didn't hook it on the end of the finish line there, edge of the finish line. Okay, so yeah, I mean they did. A few companies did that actually, make them until 2009. I'm trying to think. The obvious one I can think of, the Crown Victoria, that was made from like 1993-ish to 2011. So some cars do just have a long run. The original Mini as well, that actually had different generations, but the basic chassis of that was made from, I think, 1959 to about 2001. Some cars do just have a very long shelf life. Not all of them, and I mean, the Ford Crown Victoria, I think, was the last ladder-framed non-SUV or truck type vehicle. But some cars do just last. I mean, I guess if they're onto something and the car is good, oh dear, disaster. I might try something on racing slicks. I think the Max Romobile is on racing slicks. Oh, the road boat. Yes. Okay, this is about 2.8 tons. It doesn't corner very well. I didn't actually check where that car I just had is. Should show up here. Did I see it? No, it keeps showing the road boat. The Maxwell-mobile is still the highest I am seeing. Got a H-series beating the Maxwell-mobile, and that's the fastest. I cannot see where that BMW type thing is. Did it do really awfully? I just cannot see where it is. So I've missed that. Yeah, there's my little economy car. I think that's 60 horsepower or something. To be beaten by that, you know a car is poorly set up. So, what can we drive after someone? Ah, the City Golf. What's it? So the Volga became more unpopular. I mean, sometimes that happens. I believe what destroyed the Mini was crash safety. The Metro, I think the Rover, Austin Metro, they were sold under numerous brands, but I don't believe that was very well liked. That was crash safety, it did so bad in crash tests, but the Mini actually outlived its successor. I find that amusing. But yeah, people didn't like the Metro as far as I know, and then the Metro just went out of production because no one really liked it. I'm going to leave the traction control on because what I remember, this is actually quicker with the traction assists on. Because it's front wheel drive, it doesn't put down the power unless you have these traction assists to help you. Oh dear, as I say, it doesn't really turn. It was understeering pretty badly there. Thankfully there was not too much on the outside. Now imagine if this thing is actually quick, despite it being no power steering and 2.8 tons. This car is bad, as I say. But if it's quick off-road, I mean, that would at least give it some kind of redeeming factor. Oh dear, it seems to want to brake in a straight line, and I'm pretty sure I did try and fix that so the brakes are better as well. There's just only so much I could do with a flawed prompt like this. Somehow I feel like this wouldn't sell in reality. It's too heavy, it only has leaf springs on the back, and I think struts on the front. No power steering. Like, it looks cool, but it just wouldn't be sellable in the real world. And there you go. I've hit the front bumper a little. Hopefully it's not, yeah, it's not too damaged. It is made of steel, and oh dear, what am I doing? What am I doing? I'm still on the track somehow. Somehow I'm still pointing it in the right direction on the dirt track. I will accept this as enough of a win. Oh no. Oh no. I think I might have to restart this. That is a sad looking car. So you can tell if I don't have to restart a win, you can tell a car is easy to drive. Accelerate. I think I might be on sport mode still. Yeah, I'm only on sport. Okay, now I know this car's deep for flaws. I think it's best if I just try and cut to the inside. It can carry some speed here. It's not as unrefined as I thought it might be for how stiff the springs ended up being. Come along, mighty convertible thing. It is called a road boat, and indeed it handles like a boat. I mean, what else would you expect? Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. The car is somehow still going. I might have to give this a third one because it's in such a state. Yep. I'm going to just try it with a drive mode off, see if I can get anything out of it that way. Because I don't want to keep giving these cars a million different tries. I think this did have overheating issues also, which I've kind of fixed. So many issues. Go a little wide here. There are certain pathways you can take here which are just quicker, and I do not want to hit a tree. Gotta slow down. I mean, as I say, this is not as bad as I thought it would be, had a kind of scrape. Yeah, I think I'm just going to give up taking this to the end. Like, it's failed 3 times. Maybe I failed it, but I just don't think it's going to be quick anyway, regardless. So if I go main menu, we can try and reload this. Not free roam. More time trials. Ah, yeah, so for the Volga, became unpopular because of the outdated design and emission regulations. I think it was something similar with the Mini as well, with the emissions regulations. They ended up putting some kind of strange mechanical fuel injection on towards the end. I don't think it was very reliable or anything like that. But it's kind of a case, everything had fuel injection for a start, and secondly, I think they had to squeak it through the emissions regulations without throwing away the entire engine. So that was how things ended up being like that. I think, you know, the brick is speed. This is on racing slicks, so this should be scary. But it is a good car, it's just on racing slicks. Not good for off-roading. Yeah, but as I say, the Mini was pretty much the same story, honestly. As that City Golf. Outdated design and not good enough on the emissions. And I think the Metro also had the same engine as the Mini, so probably the same kind of thing applying. But I think the Metro did get a Rover K series. The Mini never got that. So it's less likely an emissions issue. The K series was made up until about the mid-2000s, so that somehow lasted. Specificationally, the K series is not a bad engine. It's just other things have come along that didn't have its flaws. But it's like, from specifications, I think it's like a full aluminium 4-valve engine. It's not bad there, in that way. Yeah, racing slicks, honestly, in this game do seem overpowered. Because it's not, this isn't gripping as horribly as you would think. It's just a suspension. It's got basically race suspension, but still. Yes, when the game decides a mid-engine MPV is a good idea. Was the City Golf, I think, because it was, like, the original Golf was more expensive? Because I think, from what I've seen, if I remember correctly, that's basically a Volkswagen Polo, but they called it Golf anyway. Because, I don't know, maybe the Polo just seemed cheap. But they wanted to make it cheap without seeming cheap. I know that for some countries the Golf would be too expensive, especially since it became like a sort of premium hatchback in some ways. I mean, that's going to cost money to put all those extra premium features on it. I think now, what's going on in the West, it's, there's some crazy things going on, because regulatory, I think you have to have all the smallest cars. Unless they change the rules, it's supposed to kick in, like, after 2025, where you have, everything has to be a hybrid, or fully electric. They may have changed that, but imagine trying to buy a cheap car, and you have to pay for the hybrid system, and the electric crash assists, and all that stuff that's become mandatory over the years. Things do just get crazy sometimes. I mean, I know it was also the 70s Americans came up with some crazy crash safety regulations, which the world was just not ready for, honestly. You're asking a lot for companies that just weren't making cars in that way before. They threw all the thick bumpers and stuff on cars. They did it with the imports as well. That's why the MGB had those infamous giant plastic bumpers that no one liked. I think, has this been quick? It was bouncing around a lot. Okay, that's slower than the Maxwell Mobile. I mean, so far, I expected the Maxwell Mobile to be quick. It wasn't particularly quick, but compared to the Maxwell Wagon, that was it. Compared to the other cars here, that has been very good. For something on full race slicks off-road, the Bricky's speed didn't do that bad. That is also on steel wheels, I think. It puts a lot on steel wheels. There's a Lansdale. I feel like I should just go to something normal after driving these. The Notstang Rally Raid, the joys of front leaf springs. I actually didn't show this, and it's not something I built on the stream, but it's such a bad car. But it does have off-road tyres. Where's I did see something on the avatars, but it hasn't updated on YouTube. That's a bit weird. If I just duplicate the tab, because I don't want to like axe for live stream or anything. Because I did just see it. Like, it did update on avatars. It didn't update on the YouTube window. No, I don't know why it didn't come through on YouTube. Oh, it's a facelifted version of the Mark 1 Golf. I did see it was honestly smaller than I think other ones of the time, but that actually makes sense. I think Dacia did that kind of thing. Like, they sold the older platform. So it was cheaper to manufacture the older platform than it was the current one. The Clio as well, the Renault Clio, I actually saw, surprisingly enough, the Clio 2, which started production in the late 90s. I think into the 2010s they were making it, they just completely changed the front end, and in my opinion made it worse looking, but they did change the front end completely, and that was something that they had to do, I guess, to make it look modern. But it was still a Clio 2. Now, I've been in a Clio 2. Those things ride incredibly well, unless they ruin the suspension. So, it would not be the most hated platform for me. Well, yeah, as I say, this car is terrible. It does have, like, off-road tyres, but it's got 500 horsepower and a rear engine layout, and it just isn't enough. Especially with the front leaf springs, it isn't enough to put the power down. I'm in first gear even, and I'm not fully able to push this any further out. It's already bouncing about. Like, double wishbone on the back, I think, because it's rear engine, but it's got leaf springs on the front. Maybe a ladder frame, I honestly can't remember. I don't know why the wheel loves choosing leaf springs on the front, because it's not even like it's a number one. Live axle coil is a number one, so even playing the game of it loves choosing number ones, the leaf springs is actually the second option down. So I don't know, it's almost like the wheel is self-conscious and it knows I don't like front leaf springs and it keeps doing it. I mean, as you see, this is a Camaro body because it's the best body I could find that fit in like the high performance sport ideology, while being large, while also having plenty of space in the back. If I just yeah, I've somehow managed to slow this down. The yeah, city's more affordable, more size, and wait, was it expensive as the Mark II? That seems surprising. For one thing, it would be lighter. That's the only thing I would know about the platform. So, or probably be lighter, should I say. So maybe it would be better for some kind of efficiency regulations, or if there were rate regulations for each size class of vehicle. Like, I know there's the Japanese regulations and they have the key cars, they're only allowed 63 horsepower. Sometimes having a different platform might help with that, but I'd be surprised if that was as expensive as the Mark II at that time. I mean, I don't know, maybe that's just what people wanted. Or maybe it wasn't successful because people didn't want that. I said this car was bad. I don't think it's actually the worst. The world's fastest watermelon. Okay, that's interesting. This car is about on par with the world's fastest watermelon. But granted, this didn't have the grabby physics at the end, so it is definitely slower. And we've got more cars to drive. I'm just enjoying this, honestly. Taking these vehicles around, attempting to read chat while I drive at high speed. It's a fun thing. The Sakura mobile I've got, if I just scroll, it's not showing, but it's like an estate thing. That car just ended up a bit messed up for build. Maxwell mobile, that is not a Maxwell mobile. It's showing Maxwell mobile, and it's showing something that's clearly not a Maxwell mobile under Maxwell mobile name. the biblically accurate minion. You know what? I mean, while we're on the front leaf springs, I'm going to try this failure. Which I did cheat and make it lower. Ah, the Fox. I do remember that there was a car here called the Fox in the mid-2000s. It's probably an entirely different thing. But it wasn't a Jetta here, though. It was like a smaller city car. It was not a Jetta, though. It's a bit odd. It's like they had the Volkswagen Lupo. Not sure if you've heard of them. And the Lupo was like the smallest Volkswagen you could buy. And the successor they called the Volkswagen Fox. So it's possible they're just reusing names. I mean, they also had a Jetta version here called the Bora. So it was like, it wasn't called a Jetta, but it was a Jetta. At least if you're in America, that car was definitely called the Jetta. It just decided to call it a Bora here for some reason. The tongue on this car always gets me. Like, it's actually got a face. Why is this not bad? Why is this so good? This car should be terrible. Like, I actually made this somewhat drivable, and I kind of hate myself for it. This car should be an undrivable mess, but I actually made it handle quite well. I mean, I might raise the engine up a little visually, just to make sense of the whole thing. Because it's fine it's sitting this low down if I can make sense of how everything falls on the platform. Like I did that with the last week. The Maxwell sports car thing. Whatever I call it. What was it? Ferrari California backwards. I feel like this doesn't have a huge amount of power, but it has enough. And I feel like this is... It's just bad that I've made this handle so good. With a bit of later tuning. Have to go into third, because it is not getting grip. It is rear-wheel drive, not all-wheel drive. I mean, as I say, I feel like you can make some really messed up configs work in automation. I'm basically soapboxing it here. I'm not using a lot of power. I mean, I have got like a little Jeep type thing. That's got front leaf springs and a rear engine layout. A van body as well of sorts, but I feel like that could be interesting because that half makes sense, not like this where they gave it rear-wheel drive only. For Wheel and his friends. Ow! I was trying to read chat and then I crashed. That's not the car's fault, that's just me being dumb. I don't think this has ABS or anything. I just realised there's no like ESC or traction control light thing, so I don't think this even has ABS. The wheel was properly cool with this, as I say. The fact I got this handling at all as well as I did is surprising. Oh dear. Bounce. The car does. Somehow I keep it under control. I feel like I'm going crazy fast, as if it's a all-wheel drive Mercedes with 350 horse. It is not. It weighs almost 2 tons. Even though it doesn't look it. There was a... That's Seat, if that was a version of a Lupo. We did get it here, but I can never remember the name of it. So, you know, I'd call it the Seat Lupo, just because I can never remember the actual name. But they did have a Seat version. But it was the same, the Ford Galaxy, actually. Not to be confused with a Ford Galaxy from the 60s. Totally different cars. That shared the platform with the, Volkswagen Sharon, and whatever the Seat version was called. I don't remember Seat names, it seems. Alhambra, I think. They're calling it that on that generation, and they all shared a platform. But that platform was also the same platform used in the Volkswagen Passat of the same era. So, platform sharing, yay. And the Volkswagen Passat of that generation, I think, was somewhat based on the Audi A6, which later turned to a Passat based on the Audi A4, because luxury. I know a lot of random stuff. Round here we go. Somehow keeping the car pointing where it's supposed to. I'm maxing out second gear. Honestly, the one compliment I can give this, despite everything, the gearing is actually incredibly good. Like, the gearing could be awful. It isn't. The gearing actually puts the power down quite well. And I guess that's part of the engine's credit as well. As I say, for all the messed up engine it is, it still does make 250 horse. It's not the most hopeless unit ever. And it's also very quiet. I should have turned the volume up, but it's quiet. Right, okay. That was me, but I don't think this was going to be quick anyway. There we go. Now it's across the line. I'm going to call that. It could have been actually fairly quick. It's behind because I totally messed up the finish. It got beaten by my 1960s economy car. Wait, apparently I've got the power monster already tested here. 236, and I didn't know I did that. So yeah, this car didn't make any noise though, so I feel like I should turn the volume up for whatever I do next. Datsun 160Z. I think I might have heard of that. I think it's like the sports car. I think, what was it, 270Z? If it's a lower power version of that. That's what it seems like, unless I'm completely wrong. Again, it said, this is Disaster Box, that's what I called it, but it called it a biblically accurate minion, which it definitely is not. It looks nothing like a minion. It looks kind of like a Jeep. But it's totally not a Jeep, I wouldn't call it that. This does have all-wheel drive. I don't think it's a 4x4 setup, but it is all-wheel drive. It's kind of interesting. I mean, the wheel does create some strange and interesting beings. I will have to try the other Maxwell vehicles as well, naturally, because they are potentially pretty good. Although they're on racing slicks. I already saw with that, whatever that MPV thingy was called, with all-wheel drive, that was incredibly quick. Race tyres on this do not seem to be as bad off-road as they honestly should be. You should get no grip on race tyres, but you do get grip. Okay, drive mode, sport, off-road. I don't know if this has drive modes, because it doesn't actually... I've turned the engine off. You know what, as I said, I do need to... This does not make a whole lot of noise. I can turn it up a bit more. The Sunny B210. I think... I'm not certain, but I think I get an idea of what that's meant to be. So I think if we go minus 15-ish... Minus 16.8. This should be audible. Yes, like these cars all seem to be quiet. I think this is actually a CVT. The engine is in the back. It's got double wishbones rear and leaf springs front. The favourite, a long favourite setup of the wheel. Probably because it's actually a very bad way to set suspension up. So yeah, I mean, some cars get produced all over the place. I think there was a Mini. I don't know where that was produced, but I think they did make some Minis. Maybe even fiberglass ones, like somewhere far off. I can't remember, but I think that might have been made in Africa. I don't know. They made them quite a distance away, I think, for some reason. It's just strange how these things sometimes add up. I think it blocks links. I can, when I've driven this, I can type it in. Because I do have the browser up. So I can just, I can drag the mouse over and type it into the browser. This thing is drifting. It shouldn't take long anyway to get a lap in with this. Honestly, it's not that bad to drive for something with leaf springs on the front. I think it makes 175-ish horsepower, so not too bad. No, actually 170. Don't think it was quite that much. So 170. Although this feels like enough power, honestly, for what this vehicle is. And it makes generally just sense. It's not like the most nonsense thing it's had, other than the suspension setup. Okay, there we go. sometimes this does choose transverse front engines with a ladder frame, and they can actually end up being quite good. It doesn't do it all the time, but when it does, you actually get a good car out of it. So, I don't know if this is ladder. I think it might be, but it's leaf swings on the front. I can speak for that much. Come on, mighty disaster box. We must carry the disasters. I mean, this car doesn't navigate to disasters. It navigates the disasters to people. That's just the kind of caring soul it is. Oh, that was some way to get onto that straight. Even a wheel spin. So I will search for the Datsun 160Z. And then I'll check, where is this? 220. Okay, this is pretty good. The Maxwell wagon is still, I think, beating all the other wheel cars off-road, which I somewhat expected because that's like a legitimate off-roader. But this is actually still holding on pretty well, given it's got no power. Okay, so this is a wiki. Oh yeah, I can see that. It looks like a kind of 70s sports car type, sports hatch sedan type thing. I don't know how to describe it. It actually kind of looks like the Satsuma. Like, that's the best comparison I can make. And I think there was a mod for a Satsuma Coupe. It reminds me of that quite a bit. So, yeah, it's quite an interesting looking car. Looks very 70s. There is disaster box. We've done the disaster box. There's got to be another vehicle. I think I did do that one. Apparently, it's already on there and it's not the quickest. We have got the mystery party wagon. I think I'll have to space out the Maxwell cars though, so we get a. We don't just have 5 Maxwell. Well, not 5. We don't get all like 2 of the remaining Maxwell cars in a row. This one is on, like, I think it's on racing rain tyres. So, I don't know how this is going to be off-road. Probably not very good, but there is actually some tread to the tyres. More than alternate versions of the race tyres. So, there's an ETK. If only I could drive something like that makes that much sense. No, we get randomised vehicles. Yeah, I can see that. I think the Sunny does look very plain, so I can appreciate the slight craziness to the design. It's like where is it? So that makes me think actually like African Lamborghini. I think if I look at it again, yeah, it's something about it says like African made Lamborghini. It's like that kind of idea. It's not as expensive as a Lamborghini, and honestly, in certain cases, it probably handles a lot better than a Lamborghini, but I think this car is a bit louder. It does make cat noises when I lift off. I love that. Like, this was the first Maxwell vehicle I built, and it makes cat noises. Now, this is double wishbone rear, leaf springs front, and I think it's got like an inline 6 in the back, about 3.5 litres. This is better than you would expect for such a messed up build. Can turn the drive mode off. I don't think it needs that. Oh no, Maxwell's wobbling. This actually isn't too bad off-road though, given as I say it's on racing slicks. It's probably one of the better we've had, honestly, for rear-wheel drive with racing slicks and leaf swings on the front. I mean, this thing does go. I went full power there. That's not what you would expect on racing tyres on the dirt. Yeah, this thing properly does grip. As I say, it really does surprise me because I never expected it to drive quite as well as it actually does. even when I first drove it, and now off-road as well. Like, this car is surprisingly far better than you would expect. I think it makes about 320 horsepower, so it's not the most powerful, but it's not the worst. Something like 1450 kilos. So it's actually a lot lighter than it looks. This does not look like it would be under 1500 kilos, but it's got a carbon fibre body, so that's probably why. Yeah, this is perhaps the nicest one of the randomised vehicles I've driven here, which on race tyres, I did not expect that. Can go into first gear because we are slowing down a lot. The gearing, I think there might be like 5 gears here, and it's using them quite well. It's enough gears. It's not the most, but it's enough. Might be an automated manual. I can't remember too much. The wheel was like, it wasn't the kindest with a transmission, but it also wasn't cruel. It didn't give me a 2-speed, which maybe on the dirt wouldn't be as much of a downside as a tarmac because, you know, as long as you can put the power down somewhat. Oh, 2.8. Okay, the Maxwell Mobile was quick. Very quick. The power of Maxwell compels it, as I feel like I have to say. So we've got this, we've got the Roma V8, we've got an ETK 1300 TT Sport, so one of the fast ones. And we've got the Cherry Tango, which I think is like a smaller city car, but with a turbo or something, I don't know. Anyway, this is 4th place on the whole leaderboard. As I say, this is better than I expected. Maxwell has made this car, or this truck should I say, go very fast. Also, it's not that much quicker though than the, where was it, the Maxwell wagon. I think Maxwell cars are just quicker. It sounds absolutely insane, but I think the Maxwell cars are just generally very quick on and off the road. It's the same with this and the Maxwell wagon, although the Maxwell wagon is a little slower than this, on both on-road and off-road. The two are very fast. So this is the Wheel Car RS Frog Edition. This was the first car I did on stream for the wheel. It actually ended up pretty well. It's on cross-ply rally tyres, so you would expect this to be very good off-road. Oh yeah, Opel and Vauxhall are basically the same thing. Vauxhall Verzana, honestly, Chevy, yeah, that's GM. They do change the name a lot. Basically, I feel like outside of America, GM just chooses a name and sticks it on a car, and then they don't even think about it too much. They're just like, we feel like this car being a Holden in Australia. I know, we'll make it a Holden. And then you get to the UK, they're like, what should we decide to call this car? The badge has changed a little. Like the badge here, the point is a little more inwards. I did change that later without even realising. Anyway, yeah. So they're just like, here, GM got a car and they were like, let's call it a Daewoo. Daewoo never did all that well here. And I think ultimately Daewoo stopped making cars here. Okay, that is actually very loud on the stream. Yeah, this car is really loud. I can't hear it being that loud through my headphones, but it is very loud. I think that should be okay for sound levels. I think this might be a sequential, I don't know. Okay, we can't put... I think this might just have ABS, I honestly don't know. But this is going to be quick. This may even be the quickest of the lot, because even though it was the first car and it didn't give it an option to add aero, it is actually a pretty decent rally car. As I say, I think it's a 4x4 setup, so I'm on high 2. Let's go with high 4. I shouldn't be changing it halfway around, but we have 4-wheel drive. I feel I might as well use it on this terrain. Oh, it really grips with the 4x4 setup engaged. This thing really grips. It's just with the traditional all-wheel drive automatic, not automatic, with the all-wheel drive as it's set, it kind of doesn't select 4x4 on this kind of 4x4 system. But if you're on a just different kind of all-wheel drive, then it's automatically all-wheel drive, regardless of what you do. So It's a bit strange there. You would think it would start on 4x4 and then allow you to change into, what's it, 2x4 I think they call it? That was an odd way to take a corner. Yeah, a little bouncy, but this car is so good off-road. I forgot just how good it is. You see, it gets thrown about a little. This is push-rod front, double wishbone rear, so generally a very good setup, if the reverse of what you might expect. But still good independent suspension all around. I think this is like a smaller sports car body. It doesn't weigh too much. I think this is also like 1,400 kilos-ish. So if I remember correctly, it's about 1,400. You can just put the power down as well whenever you want to. Goes through the dirt just fine. Like, this is just legitimately quick on the dirt. Don't hit the wall. That was a good solid one. And I think it is the new quickest. The first is still fast. It fights a Maxwell mobile. It fights a Sherrier Tango. That Sherrier Tango is putting up a fight. But still, it's about the same. If we can get a top 3 with anything the wheel has built, I will be more than happy with that. We need to change the configuration. Okay, so... Boaty McBoatface. I don't know why it's called that Alfonso Tyrant. There must be something else, but again, it's using one picture. Now, we have the Princess Maxwell character. Oh, Toasty Wheels Turbo. I have to try this. This is front-wheel drive, so generally very logically laid out. This is also on cross-ply race rain tyres. I am curious. This thing could be quick. It's not got power, but on the dirt, you don't need it so much. Yeah. Yeah, they renamed the Holden to a Chevrolet. But as I say, they do strange things. I know for certain there was a Chevrolet SS, and that was like just a rebranded Holden. And I mean, they could have probably called it a Holden in America, honestly, but they didn't. And then there's Oldsmobile. I think that was a division of Chevrolet. We don't talk about Oldsmobile. Oldsmobile like went down in 2000 and something. I can't remember exactly, but it didn't last. Yeah, we can turn drive mode off. Yeah, GM in the late 60s. I mean, GM, even back then they had a lot of brands. I think they might have owned Vauxhall even back then. I don't think they own Vauxhall anymore. I think it's like part of what was Peugeot Citroën, but I think then PSA isn't a thing anymore, kind of. PSA was the group that made my Citroën in 2014. They apparently don't exist anymore. Apparently they became Stellantis via some means of magic way. Come on. Toasty wheels. I'm going to wreck this 2000 show car, but it feels good. It actually reminds me of a Leguan, which is interesting, because I have driven a few of those variants on this dirt stage, and that's no insult, should I say. Is this thing still driving? No, I'm inside a tree. Yeah, true. It does, honestly. It does sound like it went bankrupt in 1922. I mean, I think Chevrolet, or not Chevrolet, I think GM did buy the company, like, way back in the 20s or 30s, and then they kept it going. And then, eventually, Oldsmobile went down. I think one of the companies went down. I think that might have been, what do you call it? I'm trying to remember. Saturn, I think. I think that was like in the 2008 housing crisis. They kind of needed help from the government, and the government said, get rid of one of your brands. So, what was it? Not Stellantis, Saturn. Saturn got the cut. Or they didn't make the cut, should I say. And Oldsmobile just went down because I think people weren't buying them or something. And GM was like, we're done with this. We can't be bothered anymore. I mean, there was also, I don't think it exists, but there was Imperial, which was also a Chrysler-owned company. I don't think that's existed for a number of years, but it was a brand they had. Basically their equivalent of Lincoln to Ford or Cadillac to GM. This car is okay. It's just I don't know how quick it's going to be. It could be feeling incredibly quick, but not. It struggled to get slowed there because it was bouncing. I mean, it is very low, I'll say that much, because it is basically a track car. Oh dear, oh dear. Somehow I'm keeping it on the road through all of that. I can't look at the chat because I'm focusing so heavily on keeping this thing pointing in the right direction, and I'm on the road, track, whatever you call it. It's probably more of a dirt track, so I think track is a somewhat accurate term. It's odd because sometimes you can just boot it with this and it corrects itself, but you know, you have to give it the boot at the right moment. There we go. That was fast. It was a little tricky to control, but we have got a third place. The Toasty Wheels is as quick as ever, even without an insane amount of power. So, oh yeah, Pontiac. I do remember that now. They made a bunch of iconic cars. As I say, I think it was mainly to do with the 2008 housing crisis, and the brand needed, like, financial assistance from the government, and the government didn't want them to have, like, a million different brands, so they had to get rid of 2 or 3 of them. I think that might have also been when Pontiac went down. So they lost a few brands along the way. There is another Maxwell car. This one, last week's one. The totally not Ferrari California. How would you read that even? Ein Waffelak Iwafef. It's one of those things, it sounds like complete gibberish, but simultaneously it actually sounds like an Italian car company, while also sounding like gibberish. Now, this is interesting. This vehicle has live coil on the front. It may be okay off-road, although granted it is on intermediate race tyres, which I don't think is as much of a downside as you would think in BeamNG. Now, the issue with this, it struggled to grip on the track. The Toasty Wheels, that struggled a little on the dirt, and it was bouncing and stuff, but it was very grippy on the tarmac, so I don't know what this car is going to be like. Maybe if I use about 200, 250 of a horsepower, it will keep under control quite easily. Yes. I think I might have to... No, I think it's fine at like minus 27.6 decibels. Maxwell's. The power of Maxwell compels you. You must beat the Toasty Wheels car because Maxwell wants you to. All of the Maxwells. I just went totally crazy with this. And then we have like a little Maxwell farm on the front. The worst part is I feel like if I didn't go absolutely insane, this thing could look a lot better. But here we are. So I think we have... I think this has 8 gears. Oh, I'm going to have to restart. I've tried to change a drive mode and I didn't do it very successfully. So I just ended up messing up my run. Oh dear, oh dear. Yeah, I did almost overheat the engine, I feel. But I think it can take it. Oh dear. This thing does not have grip. As I say, it just about had enough grip on tarmac. It does not so much have that grip here. I'm just suggesting that this goes in the correct direction, if it wants to. If you would please go in the correct direction, car, I would appreciate it. Imagine this and it's like the fastest car, when I can barely tell where to go even. I mean, it is on race tyres, as I say, so I shouldn't expect grip, especially with this much power going to the back. Maybe if I shift it into third, maybe then it... Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. I don't think that actually caused any damage. I think it just, like, bounced. At least no serious damage. It's shifted into first. I think it does have a level of auto even when I think it's like an 8-speed dual clutch, so a seriously good transmission in this. ETK envies it, but ETK doesn't envy its lack of grip. I think I can say that much. Gonna need to go in first. It does shift itself if you don't shift, which I kind of appreciate actually, because I can't always be on it when I'm trying desperately to keep the thing under control. If I go into second, I think this is not going to be quick off here. I don't know, it has got the power of Maxwell on its side, but it also feels kind of front heavy from all the Maxwells I've put in the front. Like, that's what I'm going with, not the V16, no. It's heavy because I've put so many Maxwells on the front end. Which, that's like the canon I like to believe in. It's actually surprisingly good over the bumps, I'll say that much. It just doesn't put the power down. But it does kind of float over bumps, I think, as good as anything that's been today. Full lock here, which I probably shouldn't have. As I say, I'm just suggesting that this goes, like, in a straight line. The car doesn't really want to go in a straight line, though. As I say, it is just a suggestion. If you would please go in a straight line, car, I would certainly appreciate that. Although, if you don't want to, that is also fine. It is ultimately your choice, I say. Yeah, we are still somehow going. The front end is pretty messed up, but the thing is still going. I shouldn't have said it was fine if it didn't feel like gripping. And I've probably hurt Maxwell's. That's the worst crime of all. Honestly, the fact it kept going is impressive, though. The fact it just pointed in the right direction and kept going. Yeah, and on the tarmac again, it grips actually really well. Maxwell's, I think most of the Maxwell's survived actually. This is not going to be quick. No, 3 minutes. It beat a concrete mixer, barely. Ah, would you look at that? So, as I say, it beat a Tasty Cola cargo box truck. It beat a T-Series concrete mixer. Just, and it just barely got beaten by a school bus. And what's it? I think they went with a DT40L. That's the bus, isn't it? It was beaten by a literal bus, like a large kind of passenger bus. Somehow beat this, and it didn't feel like I was going slow. It just felt uncontrollable. That's the insane thing. Like, this had the kind of grip I would have expected from race tyres, I'll be honest. But so far, the other two that were on some kind of race tyres actually gripped quite well. I mean, maybe it's just to do with them being actual rain tyres. We have the Princess Maxwell carriage. I have got actually 3 different Maxwell cars by the looks of it. So to break the two up, I think I'll take the Mystery Party Wagon. This is good. Like, it's not quick, but it's good. 34,000, like, beam credits, apparently. For leaf springs on the back. Excellent. It does have a V12. It makes just under 200 horsepower, but it's a V12. Samcor, a partner of Ford. Ford Husky. Oh, yeah, I think I know the L300. I think I've seen that. I think, yeah, it is a Delica. That's what I was thinking. 85 to 91. They chose a Mitsubishi van. Of course, it's a Delica, like, off-road van. It's the best van. That's why they chose it. Because it's the absolute best van anyone could choose. It's actually, you know, it's like the Hayosiko on, what's it? My summer car. Which, I do want someone to mod that back into my winter car, because that's such a good van. And you did get all-wheel drive mods for that and stuff. Like, I did have one, and you could get a camper mod and everything. Like, all-wheel drive in a van is actually surprisingly good, and surprisingly capable off-road, because you basically have, like, an off-roader. That is loud. But you basically have an off-roader. Okay, we've got a small comfort. Oh yeah, this doesn't even have ABS, so I mean that's something. Is this? I think this is an automated manual, if I remember correctly. I don't know how many gears. I think it's got at least 5 of them. Might have 7 or 8 actually. I mean, this does ride quite well over the bumps. Like when I retuned it, I did actually get quite good ride quality, surprisingly enough. Even without actual rally tyres, this is gripping decently well. Granted, the last vehicle had no grip. The last vehicle was beaten by a Wentworth bus, so, I mean, that should say it all. I think I've done some bodywork damage. Not a major amount. Oh dear. Well, the wheel just left the chat. So that's saving. Hopefully the wheel doesn't leave a chat. That's the first time I've actually driven this and the wheel has just left. The wheel has just gone, I've had enough of this. And just walked off. Like, it wasn't even a big hit. It should have bent the wheel. It shouldn't have just outright knocked the wheel off. I think we can go charge through here. Oh, yes. Use that ride quality to your advantage. Like, even with leaf springs on the back, this thing does ride pretty good. Granted, leaf springs on the back are nowhere near the worst settings you can get for configuration. I think this also does have radials for all it's worth. Not all the cars get radials. I think they're like either medium or soft radials, so they're decent, especially for something with this little power. Okay. Well, that will have ruined our run. First, second. I think this is how you drive it. I mean, if you can keep this thing in gear, even without a lot of power, it's going to make it. Accelerate. That's a way to send it, I guess. Okay, hold it onto its revs decently until it did drop them there. I mean, I'll give it another chance here, because I think this can do it if I'm not, like, just overtly aggressive for no good reason. No. I've given it 3 runs. Right, I have to give this one more try, but I'm going to just leave it in drive, so I'm not shifting gear or anything and messing it up. Because maybe that was the issue. It is front-wheel drive, I should add. It's not all-wheel drive or rear-wheel drive. It's front-wheel drive. And transverse with a V12, because that's a brilliant idea, putting a V12 transversely. At least it didn't choose a transverse V16, that's all I can say. There's Seo pens. Ow. Honestly, I don't think I can drive this. Even though I weren't looking at the chat, I would probably have thrown this off at some point. Like, I just don't think I'm capable of taking it here without burning a load of time trying. A good driver could probably do it, not me. I don't think I've heard of a Seo pens, honestly. I've heard of a few, but I guess I can only remember so many. Either that or it was like 50s or something, and I can't think that far back. We do have the Maxwell Princess carriage. I've waited long enough, okay? I'm going to try this. For one thing is, I could say that car isn't going to be quick, even if I could get it to the end. The, what do you call it? The, not toasty wheels. I forgot its name already. Mystery party wagon, yeah. If I could, even if I could get that to the end, I can tell now it's not going to be quick. The Princess wagon, it is on, like, I think it's on some form of racing slicks. Might be on racing medium, if I remember correctly. It's probably not going to grip, but we do have all-wheel drive. The other Maxwell vehicle, the not Ferrari California, that had, rear-wheel drive only. So this may get some level of grip. Although, as I say, I'm not expecting too much from race tyres. Okay, apparently there's not a whole lot you can do with the sportiness. I'm going to just stick this in drive. It's only a 2-speed transmission, so I don't think it can do that much of a mess of shifting. Pretty smooth. I mean, this could be a lot worse. It's a little better than the toasty wheels. I think it's just due to overall ride height. This is where two gearbox speed shouldn't be as detrimental, although I am pushing it now. I think it just shifted into second, and you can feel it. Because foot to the floor, it is not going. Oh, I can't drive today, it seems. I mean, it does sound very good. I don't know what engine this was. I think it has a lot of cylinders. I think it was a V10 if I remember correctly. I can't remember all that well. I think it was a V10. The other got a V16, so it's not this with V16. And that car ended up pretty good. Oh, accelerate, accelerate. Yes, somehow I avoided that tree by just giving it brute power. I am not sure how that worked out, but it did. I need to remember this is on race slicks. It is not designed for off-roading. And yet it's still not too bad. I feel like if it's in first gear, this does actually have go, and then you go into second and there's just nothing. And then there's that. I think the brakes, what might be happening, it's not reverse brake grip, but I might have the slicks and I brake and I expect it to brake like normal tyres, but it doesn't. And since, especially as I say, since there's actually surprising grip on the dirt, even with racing slicks, I just don't expect it to suddenly drop grip like that when you step on the brakes. As I say, this is surprisingly good for something that is definitely a sportier suspension config. I will read the comments in a moment, but I am trying desperately to keep this thing under control and not crash again. It's like the toasty wheels, I feel. Maybe I just need to focus. Okay, I'll take that. It wasn't perfect, but I avoided hitting anything. Yeah, there is not a whole lot of grip on these tyres. You see, I'm just lucky this thing is pointing where it is at the time, because if it isn't, I feel like you'll just go straight into a tree. Like, it can put power down, but if I don't do it correctly, yeah, it puts the power down wrong. Kind of hooked that tree. I don't think it's really damaged anything, but it did hook around that tree and bounce a little. Yeah, it just wants to go in a straight line. Like, it doesn't want a corner. So if you brake or you accelerate, it's only when you're off for power it actually turns, which is odd, because when you're off the power it turns fine, but if you're on the power or on the brakes, the thing does not like turning. So I'm going to take extra care here. The toasty wheels, it was definitely like bouncing from being very firmly sprung, but it did make stuff. I think this might have pushrod front. Now I think this was double wishbone front multi-link rear, so generally a very good setup, and the same as the toasty wheels actually. Turn around. Yeah, you accelerate, it just goes straight forward wherever you are. I mean, I don't know what it's going to make of the dirt up here. Now I know how to drive this, I feel I can carry a little more speed. But as I say, you just brake, and the brakes want to go in a straight line. You accelerate, it wants to accelerate in a straight line, which I guess makes sense for racing slicks, but how it corners when you're off the power so well, that's what I'm surprised by. Now this felt like it was spending most of the time in first gear, so I think I might have cheesed it to go actually fairly quick. But where is it? I guess I could say where is she, because it's like Princess Maxwell. 225. But it beat the world's fastest watermelon. That surprises me. 2 gears and full race slicks, and we built the world's fastest watermelon, which actually felt like it was going incredibly quick. I will take that. Okay, so it's a rebadged Mazda Familia. 1,000 was produced. 1 remains in 2025. That is not a lot to last. Sometimes if it's a cheaper car, some of them people just don't care about them and they just basically throw them away. I mean, there was a scrappage scheme. I think that was about 2008. A lot of fully decent cars just got scrapped through that, which is kind of upsetting, but sometimes things happen that way. Thankfully, we do still have a lot of cars surviving. But yeah, it's just how a lot of cars will have been scrapped that were fine. That's kind of what upsets me about it. So, we haven't tried the biblically accurate minion. I think this will be a way to finish off. You know, like, get this thing tried. I actually do feel this could be pretty good. I was driving this on, like, a snow map. It didn't seem too bad. That's actually how I got my thumbnail, so I just gave it a bit of a drive around there. It wasn't too bad. I've not driven it on this stage, so I'm not cheating, but it is decent. Actually, what I might have done, I'll have to test the Power Wagon again after this one, because that did have a 1 litre engine, but I re-rolled and got a 3 litre because the engine it had was just weak. It wasn't doing anything under 100 horse. I fixed that car by giving it the power it actually deserved by re-rolling to a larger size, and that's why I don't do a 1 litre engine anymore, because if it doesn't even make 100 horsepower, then where's the potential? So we can go drive mode off. I probably didn't need to shift up there. Yeah. Oh, yeah, a rebadged version is more rare than a Ferrari GTO. I think my car is actually pretty rare if you look on the specific spec, like the you can look on like the specific spec. I don't think even I think it's like 300 or so of mine actually left on the road if you look at the specific trim and engine and stuff. So, I mean, I could say my car is extremely rare, but in reality, if you're factoring all the V6s on the lower trim models and everything, they will be more common. But yeah, I don't think so many people bought them, because when I have been looking at them on sale, ones for sale, a lot of people like bought the mid-trim C5, and it makes sense, because, as I say, my car is pretty fascinating from a historic standpoint, because there's a financial crisis hit in 2008, which was exactly when my car first came out. So, you know, the cars had got gradually more luxurious at that point, and then Citroën was left with a car that they made unnecessarily luxurious when the entire market crashed and no one actually wanted expensive cars. So, you know, that that was a very interesting like moment historically. A Ford Mondeo also kind of fell into that bracket. Like, you can tell it got a lot more luxurious. They launched a new one in 2007, and then bam, financial market crash. No one can buy expensive cars. So, you know, that's just a random aside. That doesn't mean anything really, but still, I'm not sure this car is audible because it is very quiet. Going from the others, which actually made some noise, to this, it does make a nice sound, it's just very quiet. I can't even hear it over myself very much, but what I can hear is pretty nice. And as I say, this car, I'm not having to mess around, like, it's just going. I'm pretty much sleepwalking this, as you can see. I'm talking continually because it's just doing the job. It's like almost too easy. I think this is 380 horse, so it's not the least powerful. It's actually more powerful than the Maxwell Mobile, I think I called it. As you can see, very good. Like, this is not the quickest, 2 minutes 12, but it did beat the Maxwell Wagon, which was actually like a kind of off-roady SUV thing. And, as I say, it was extremely easy. I could just drive it without even thinking. Yeah, some cars though, some cars you wouldn't expect end up pretty rare because people just don't care about them and then they throw them away and then they actually get extremely rare. I think there's a few city cars as well, just in general, that there's not a whole lot of them left, whereas Ferraris, people do keep them and they try and keep them in absolutely perfect condition, and that's why they last. I don't know, would the HT55 finish off? So we've got the Suspicious Racing Truck and the Power Monster. The Suspicious Racing Truck wasn't made on stream, but I think that is a pretty complete car in general. There is a lot of details and stuff on that. I actually got a very good, complete, well-designed car at the end of it all. Okay, so just wait for this to load in. Sometimes Beam takes a lot longer to load in than other times. It's strange. Sometimes it's like 5-10 seconds it's loaded in. Sometimes it takes half a minute or 35 seconds-ish to actually load the map in. With no given reason, I do not know. Now this has a CVT and all-wheel drive. I can't remember what tyres it's on, but it's cross-plies. So, probably cross-ply medium. We will see. I mean, it can probably turn... Yeah, let's put it on drive mode. CVT, as I say, so it is strictly auto. This handles pretty good, though, because it's quite a large, low-slung body. And that's why I had to re-roll the engine, because 1 litre, 1 litre naturally aspirated, you're not getting anything from that. Okay, that's A-way. This is very low. Somehow, I didn't, like, beach the car on those bumps, and I managed to keep it pointing the correct direction at the end of it all. There we go. Once you step on it, it actually kind of puts it down. I'm surprised. This, I think, has drum brakes, front and rear. But it's not putting down enough power that it's that much of an issue. I mean, more power, more weight, it would quickly become an issue. Although I don't think this is light. I think this is like 1,600 kilos or 1,650 or something around there. Slow it down. Do not want to hit the tree, which I have done, but thankfully very lightly on the middle of the car. It's odd because this has like, it's between having a lot of grip and not a whole lot of grip, but it doesn't seem to be sure whether it's got masses of grip or just a average amount of grip, which is kind of concerning to me. Slow this thing down. I believe this is push rod front and double wishbone rear, so it gave me a good suspension config. I think it's some kind of unitary construction. Actually, because of how the wheel was being at the time, I think it's semi-space frame. It was making a lot of cars with a semi-space frame. Come on. Okay. We almost saved it. We almost... I get the mouse. I feel like I have to get a screenshot of this. It's like memeable, you know, me when I try and do a time trial. There we go. We can reset this. Give it another go. Now I know the car. I also had my wheel turned like, however much. I think 360 degrees or something, and... So it seemed like it was straight, but it wasn't. Come on. I'm being too precarious. Somehow surviving. Oh. Dear me. Dear me. Come on. That's a way to crash. So, a Romanian bus manufacturer produced a van from the early 60s. Wait, I could turn this car up, actually. So, the row car. That, sometimes you get that. I think, was it Iveco made, something that was like a Volvo hatchback? I think it was Iveco, but they were like a truck manufacturer, and they ended up making some kind of smallish hatchback. Sometimes these strange, things happen. I think that was in the 70s or something. Come on, this way we go. Accelerate! That, like... Oh, dear. This car, honestly, this car gives me some real comical, like... I can't quite corner moments. Because it's like, it always seems to crash in very interesting ways. Like, you couldn't imagine a car ending up in that position just by trying to race it. Yep, I think, well, it was called an Iveco. I can't remember the name of it, but I think it was 1970s or 80s hatchback. It was branded as an Iveco at least, and it was just like a little Volvo hatchback, but it was definitely branded as an Iveco. I mean, they might have done more design work themselves, but all I know is it was a very unusual vehicle to exist. I mean, as I say, I can't remember the name, but it was, I think, a hatchback. Like, that's all I got. Oh dear. Wait, it survived. It had a bit of a bump, but it survived. Somehow. I mean, the way it just slid off that cliff, though, so softly and ended up wrapped around a tree. Because it wasn't even like a real aggressive fall or anything. It was just a very gentle, slow fall. And then it got wrapped around a tree. As I say, like, you don't know when exactly this thing is going to gain incredible amounts of grip. So it's hard to factor in when it's going to grip. Maybe I could pay more attention to what the suspension's doing. Maybe that would help. I don't know. It does ride better than you would think. Apparently I've damaged the head gasket. It seems to be overheating. Okay. I think we can finish this car off. But I don't know how quick it's going to be. Probably not very. Maybe I damaged the radiator or something. This car is not safe. I would say it's not got a rev limiter. And I'm just going ham on the gas or something. But it has got a rev limiter. I added one. So even if it doesn't look like it would have a rev limiter, it definitely has got one. Okay, damaged head gasket, damaged piston rings, but the thing is going. To its credit, it's not given up yet. Okay, this car completely blowing up the engine, but it somehow survived. Is it somewhat fast? It is. So, yeah, it's not that far behind the Maxwell wagon. Ah, okay. See you, Revo, sometime. Anyway. What a glorious sight. And this thing was still kind of fast. Even blowing itself up. I mean, I can say that's a good thing, honestly. I'll probably take one more vehicle around. I think I have one more I can take. And then I think I'll call it a day. Just which one is it? So I've done most of the real cars. There is that MPV type thing, and there's the Fabulous Roadster, which I think is quite similar in nature to the Toasty Wheels. So there's not that much point in trying that, because I'd be basically driving the same thing. We have the Suspicious Racing Truck. I think this is it. I think this is the one to finish up on, because it looks like it could be good. Granted, I do actually need to be on the time trial. So the Suspicious Racing Truck, selecting it in the right menu will definitely help. And I think this will be a good point to call it after I've actually got a lap in on this. Because we've seen, like, sometimes cars on racing slicks are apparently the best off-roaders. Not that I believe that is the case in reality, but I guess in BeamNG, that can be the case. I mean, you think in reality racing slicks would have no grip on this terrain whatsoever. But, as I say, as it's calculated, they do appear to have grip, which I like. Come on, load in game. Okay, so put the paddle shift in drive. Okay, so we've not got drive mode particularly. It's on sport. I think this thing's actually supposed to have 4 seats. It does have all-wheel drive. I think it's on some kind of cross-ply. It might be like cross-ply soft. They're like some cross-plies, but one of the more decent variants. Okay. I feel like I could have also almost powered out of that, but I didn't. Do I have any manual control? Yes, I do. Okay, that might help. I don't know. I think this has a 6-speed automated manual, if I remember correctly. So decent, but not the most gears in the world. Not that I think that'll matter. It's got enough. On the brakes, I did surprisingly well there, I think. Onto the bridge. Ow. It's very low to the ground. I'm surprised it actually rides as well as it does. We have got also leaf springs on the back, which I feel is worth mentioning. Like if this didn't have bad suspension kind of thing. It is double wishbone front, leaf springs rear. It may be on the ladder frame, if I remember correctly. So, you know, not the best setup, but it's got like the setup a legitimate pickup truck would probably have. So it's far from the worst at the same time. I'm not putting any power down here because I just don't feel I could do it. It doesn't have great grip. As I say, this is on decent tyres. I mean, it could even be on semi-slicks. I don't think it is. It's on cross plies, I remember that much. And quite decent ones. 580 horsepower, if I remember correctly. And it's quite a lot of weight. It's something like 2.2 tons, 2.4 tons. But it has got decent power. Transverse V12. Like, quite a large one. I can't remember exactly. It's something like 8 or 9 litres. Supercharged transverse V12. It makes power. It's not as loud as I expected going back to it. Have to go a little slower at times just because it kind of finds its way off the track, and that's like the only way to stop this thing going. Like, it is a large body as per the wheel's prompt, so I've had to choose a body that would fit this engine transversely and you know, go at a decent speed. And then this is the body that came up. It's like there was about 2, maybe 3 bodies I could have used. No. This is like already thrown away as a 1. So we have got, I've got to try and drive this. I'm going to try manual gearing. I'm feeling kind of brave. I don't think this will overheat like the Power Monster. Honestly, that car, despite being like continually grenading the engine on its way to the end, that did far better than I think it should have. Probably because on this course, it's not all about how much power you have. It's equally about how much you can use. Like, you see, I couldn't go all out on the bridge because on some cars you probably could. This is just far too large. I feel like I would have hit something if I tried. I can sometimes put full power down. As I say, this is all-wheel drive. So, you know, we do have, if I remember correctly, like 70% at the back. So we do have some power going to the front and the rear. And it's sliding. I mean, yeah, I had to just completely lift off the power there to avoid totally wrecking the vehicle. Same here. I hit that tree, but it was quite a light hit in the grand scheme of things. So I've not done any, like, mechanical damage. I was in manual mode, but it wasn't actually, it wasn't hitting the rev limit, interestingly. Nah, I'm determined to get this thing to the end now. It's a way to finish. Also, I don't know if I was using the transmission correctly, so that would be my fault. Best I just leave it in auto, then I can focus on making sure this thing goes. As I say, I have to go lighter on the power just because of the size of the thing. There we go. Like, it kind of gets thrown about, and should I say soft bodies, and the whole body gets destroyed that way. I feel, as I say, I feel this is all surface level damage. Sometimes these vehicles do cave in a lot more bodywork wise. It does seem automation has improved how they export though, or Beam, one of the two, has improved how they export. Come on. That was a way. I hit the tree, but I was able to like accelerate with a bit of turning angle and keep it going on its way. Because I do want to get this to the end. I don't want to spend all day or night trying to drive this thing. It's got what looks like some front bodywork damage. I don't think it's hit the radiator though, so that's one, I guess, redeeming factor. You see, the vehicle is large, and that is definitely playing against it more than anything. Like, I know it's low. Other vehicles have been low. The toasty wheels, I feel, as bouncy as that thing was on this terrain, I could go a little more full out just because that thing was small enough. This is so much easier to get a piece of it caught on the scenery. Like, I already did have a little bit of an accident, but I somehow, like, made it out of there. Also, it feels like it could do with more turning angle, but there's not a whole lot I can do about that. Also, as I say, many Orsos, it's got the V12 mounted transversely. That is going to be a fair amount of weight. I mean, I think it's like aluminium block or something and a cast head. You know, there's more cast head options than there is block options, so the wheel is more likely to choose a lightweight block and a heavy head. It's just more likely to happen. But no less, the size of the engine means whatever it's made out of, it's going to be pretty heavy. You can't have a massive engine and have it weigh nothing. You can have like a 3-litre tops and have it weigh nothing. And that's if it's built very well to be light. So, how has this kind of heavy boaty truck done? We've done 223, that's good. The disaster box beat it. That is a kind of competition I would never have expected. Like, this and the, they're within 0.1 of a second. Yeah, as you'll see, there is some damage on the front. Not enough, I think, to destroy its run. But that was how it ended up. The disaster box I just want to bring out, as I say, to finish up. Because this car and this one, they're so very different. I mean, they're both like all-wheel drive truck type things. But this is like leaf springs front and double wishbone rear. And a smaller body as well. But it only makes 170 horsepower. Then this one, next to it, I would say Suspicious Racing Truck. I would say that in nature is a lot more American. Like, it's larger, it's heavier, and maybe a little smoother over bumps at the cost of fuel efficiency. Like, I think it's a bit less efficient. So, yeah, very interesting case of ways to make the same performance. This is not a truck, this is a van body. Technically, if you want to get technical, I think it's an ambulance body, meaning automation counts it as a people mover, or MPV, more than an actual truck. But I thought, you know what, or more than a van, should I say, you know, I thought that is a van body. An ambulance is kind of derivative of a van, and that is definitely a van body. So, random bit of lore there. There are also 2 vehicles built off stream. But as I say, very interesting comparison. Like, this one is definitely more of a street truck, in fairness, so being beaten on the leaderboard, I can't really insult that. And if I think tab, yeah, there we go. Like, this is the one I would prefer. But I think in terms of off-roading, just due to the wide height and the way it's set up and everything, this is maybe just edging it out, but they are pretty close. I would give the win to this, though, because it's very good on the tarmac as well as the off-roads. But anyway, I will be leaving it here for today. Yeah, this also apparently has more seats. That's another thing about it. I'll be leaving it here for today, though, and hopefully I'll build more crazy cars some other day. But for now, I will say goodbye until another day.